I'm going to do a little bit of a show and tell. I'm not a student of Thai politics directly. My interests are modern Thai cultural history, but I just happened to be doing fieldwork research in Thailand in the first week of April, which coincided with the shutdown of the main shopping district of Bangkok at Rapasong intersection. I went to Bangkok to actually do research on commodification of religion in Thailand, but that just happened. It was impossible to avoid the issues and the physical presence of the red shirts. And on the evening of Wednesday, the 7th of April, I went to the demonstration at Rapasong intersection, and as a cultural historian, bought lots of the little realia things that were for sale. What I just want to talk about briefly, and it's just very off the cuff, is the political sloganeering, or the political slogans, the languaging of the red shirt protests as they appear on the items that they physically wear. People wear little head bands and bandanas, and there were little street stalls in the Rapasong intersection selling the headbands for 10 baht and the bandanas for 20 baht. I had no trouble entering the area. It's a major intersection. There were barricades at each of the 4 intersections about 500 metres from the main intersection itself. The barricades were staffed or manned actually by guards of the red shirts. I only went in the evening. I didn't go during the day. It was just too hot at 40 degrees. I went about 7 p.m. and left about 9:30 p.m. I had no problem on that. This was 3 days before the Saturday evening shooting, which was at the Democracy Monument, which is some 2 or 3 kilometres from this site. But what I was noticing was that each of the barricades that anybody entering was basically searched. And they also searched every vehicle and motorbike that was entering, presumably for guns or whatever. So the red shirts were quite well organised in terms of the barricades, in terms of the staffing, the guards. There were mobile toilet facilities. There were people selling little noodles, etc. Pickup trucks loaded with food and little packages was arriving quite regularly to hand out to people. People were sleeping out on mats all over the place. In general, it was a sort of a semi-festival atmosphere. There was a major stage where the major red shirt leaders were speaking at that particular time, with big screens projecting things. Travelling around the city on other days, I happened to be at Sapan Kwai, which is in the north of the city. Actually, there was a philatelic museum that I was visiting up there as part of my research. It just happened to be the time that the red shirts were moving en masse from the downtown area to the Thaicom, office of Thaicom, which is the broadcast site for their TV station, which had been shut down by the government at this point, and it's in the north, in Pathum Thani, north of the old airport of Don Mueang. But I just happened to be on this major street as the red shirts were moving en masse in pickup trucks, taxis, whatever they could carry people, about midday on that Friday, the 9th of April, and it was an amazing festival atmosphere. What was very noticeable was the people along the streets, mainly the small stallholders, and Sapan Kwai is basically it's a working class residential working area. Many of the stallholders were basically out on the streets in red shirts, cheering as the red shirt demonstrations passed, and it was quite a festival atmosphere. Those of you who've been following the news, later that afternoon on the Friday, there was some confrontation with the army, I believe, at the Thaicom site. The army relented. The red shirts won at that particular moment, and their TV station was temporarily reopened. The Prime Minister intervened and reclosed that TV station at 10 p.m. that night. Anyway, just quickly, in the brief time I've got, I find the language of the red shirts particularly interesting as an historian, because it has a whole range of historical resonances. But just the first point, this particular bandana basically translates as Yut Song Machatan, stop double standards. One of the key demands of the red shirts is a critique of what they call double standards, that in a sense they believe that the yellow shirts get better treatment than they do by the Thai state. For example, no one's been charged with the close down of Bangkok airport over a year ago by the yellow shirt demonstrations. Yellow shirt leaders are seen to be dancers talking to people at the demonstration at Rapasong. The yellow shirt leaders are seen to be just as corrupt as Thaksin, and they admit that Thaksin was taking money, but the yellow shirts get away with it, whereas Thaksin is in charge with it. Red shirt radio and TV stations are blocked, but yellow shirt ASTV broadcasts with impunity. And I just happened to be having dinner one night in Bangkok that week. It happened to be a yellow shirt owned restaurant, very clearly marked on the door as one entered. The ASTV was being shown very loudly in a huge Samsung screen on the wall of the station. It was about 8 p.m. at night, and it was lambasting Thaksin non-stop on this station, with periodic cartoons of Thaksin dressed as a mock king with a mock crown. Basically, the idea is that Thaksin is trying to become king, and a lot of the yellow shirt are attempting to, in a sense, lambast Thaksin as a would-be head. I noticed reading the websites late last night on the Bangkok Post that stickers have been appearing yesterday on phone booths in Silom Road, claiming to be red shirt stickers, claiming that Thaksin will be the head of a new Thai state. The word for head, I noticed in Thai, was pramukh, which is a word which has traditionally been used to refer to the king as head of state. So it's interesting whether this was actually a red shirt sticker. The red shirt leaders claimed it was not. Whether it was the yellow shirts trying to, in a sense, get back at the red shirts by trying to say that Thaksin is trying to overtake the role of the pramukh, the king. Who knows? It's very hard to work out. But just one of the other interesting, while we're talking about double standards critiques, this headband says, Mung tamarai ko thuk, gu tamarai ko phit. Basically, it's saying, whatever you, yellow shirts, do is correct, or you get away with it. Whatever I do, red shirts, is wrong. So in a sense, it's again a critique of a sense of double standard that the state is seen to be aligning itself with one side of the factions. Just as a cultural historian, it was interesting to note that there was a major critique of the giving away of 300 million baht of money to support new Thai film quite recently. Half of that budget of 300 million baht went to one movie, part 3, I think, of the King Naraisun trilogy by Muracha Wong Chatri. I forgot the name of the director, but somebody with a royal title. Director got half of the 300 million baht money for one movie on a royal title, and there was major complaints in the press by independent Thai cinematographers who got piddling money to do other sorts of items. I've only got a couple of minutes left, but just to give you an idea of the other sorts of languages. I suppose just quickly to cut to the final point, and there's many other slogans. As somebody who follows Thai cultural history, what I noticed about the imaging of this demonstration is the absence of images of the monarchy. That every major Thai demonstration, basically since 1973 or the early 70s, when there's been quite a series of number of demonstrations against dictatorship in the 70s, in the 1990s, early 1990s, again against military intervention. Every major, what we might call popular or student-led uprising, has typically used images of the king and queen at the head of demonstrations as a sign of allegiance to the Thai state. What's interesting about the current red shirt demonstration is the absence of any images of the monarchy. In its place, we find, you might have seen these little things on TV. These are the little things that people rattle whenever somebody's on the stage and they say something that people like. This is a sense of approval. It's a little heart. It says in Thai, Rak Prajatipatai, I love democracy. What's particularly interesting in the context of the yellow shirt demonstration that Nick showed us back from 2006, the slogan of recent years in Thailand as the king ages is that we love the king, Rarak Nai Luang. And that slogan has been on stickers, it's been on T-shirts, it's been a sense of a popular slogan around the country, often in a heart shape like this, but in yellow with I love the king. What's interesting about this is that not so much a direct critique of the monarchy, one doesn't hear that because lèse-majesté laws does not allow that in Thailand, but rather one could say that the current demonstration is marked by an elision of references to the monarchy and a replacement of references to the monarchy with the word democracy. So that while an earlier slogan we love the king in yellow, the red shirt demonstration is we love democracy in red, which uses the same grammatical text but replaces the word for monarchy with the word for democracy. So just one final throwaway comment is that the language is very much back in terms of a feudal language. We find that the red shirts are identifying themselves with a very old word for feudal serf, prai. They are calling them, and they're talking about the uprising of the serfs, the uprising of the slaves. And there's a very interesting discourse of a popular uprising in terms of referring to feudal technology, feudal discourses, basically from the period of the absolute monarchy in a current period with a whole range of historical resonances with a very contemporary element. I have to leave it there. Thanks.